your best. Losers always whine about their best. Winners go home and the prom queen.
Here we go, boys and girls. We are live. It's the best soccer show, North American Soccer Network, NASN.TV. Jason Davis, Jared Dubois. Wednesday night. That means we're here. We're live. We're in the house, whatever that means. Are we in the house?
Well, I'm in a house. I'm not sure if
Are we too white to be in the house?
It depends. Are we saying it like DA house, like in the house?
I didn't say duh. I said the.
Well, I'm just saying if the connotation is duh, I'm not sure we can pull off duh house.
I'm not sure that we're there yet either. Or we ever will be. I don't think that's, I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right. It's the best soccer show. As I mentioned, we are live. It's our Wednesday night edition. We are taking your phone calls. 201-430-2378 is the phone number. And as soon as I get the phone lines working, we'll be able to do that. We're going to pose a question to you guys, and we're going to get to a couple of excellent guests tonight. Chris Wingert from Real Salt Lake will be on later, second segment, to talk about RSL's trip down to Costa Rica to play Herediano, which didn't go so well. We'll have Andy Edwards from Kansas City to talk about the U.S. Open Cup TV situation, which isn't going well, Jared. I think people are kind of disappointed, I think, is the basics. How
often do you think he gets called Anthony Edwards?
Of
Goose fame.
But he's not Anthony. He's Andy.
I know it's Andy, but I'm just saying, how often do you think people misspeak and say Anthony Edwards?
I don't know. I hope not that often, because that would be terrible for him.
That would be awesome, dude, to be mixed up with Goose.
Well, okay, maybe, but that same guy, was also in Revenge of the Nerds, and
which makes the legend of Anthony Edwards even better.
Died of brain cancer on ER. If you remember your ER history, I don't know if you were an ER buff.
I like that your Anthony Edwards game is on point.
I do have a little bit of Anthony Edwards, and I could probably go a little deeper if I really thought about it, but I don't want to spend a lot of time on that. We want to pose the question. When we talk to Andy, we'll get to his thoughts on this situation, but it turns out that U.S. Soccer has sold the rights to the U.S. Open Cup final to Gold TV for the next 3 years, 2012, 13, and 14. They get this deal done a week before the game, Jerry, which obviously isn't the best case scenario, and it's Gold TV, and I think people are a little disappointed. First of all, let me ask you this. Is Gold TV a step down from FSC?
Yes, but only because Gold TV in of itself, it seems to be contracting. And while people can say maybe Fox Soccer is losing MLS and American coverage, they still have the big golden goose, which is the EPL. So as long as they have that, they're always going to be seen as a bigger network, I think.
Gold TV has lost.
Turns from goat to superhero.
They've lost Ray Hudson. They've lost Phil Shane. Those guys have gone over to be
La
in
Liga.
Say sports or whatever it's called. They lost La Liga. Well, that's why they lost these guys. They lost La Liga. They lost whatever else they had. They have some. I believe they have some South American properties and stuff like that. Still,
I believe they still have Bundesliga.
I don't know. I can't remember. Brazil, Colombia. I know that. And our friends over at Mad About Football, Juan and George, they are still there. So they are doing their thing over at Gold TV. They may be the ones calling this U.S. Open Cup.
If they did, that would be fun for us at this network, I think.
I've got confirmation from our producer that Juan and George will be the ones calling that game. It's in Kansas City. It's an opportunity for a bigger stage. I mean, that's an excellent building, brand new building. I expect it to be packed. Seattle's sending a good contingent, as they always do. This is an opportunity for a big stage. It's the 99th edition of the Cup. Next year's 100. Is this good enough? And I guess that's the question that I'm going to put out to our listeners tonight. Is Gold TV good enough for the U.S. Open Cup? And I see, without knowing any details, and we'll talk to Andy about it. I'm sure he's got a little bit more insight. I don't know what the price was. I don't know what U.S. Soccer was looking for. I know there were some issues with radio rights. That didn't work out. There's no local radio taking that on for Kansas City. And this should be a big deal. This should be a way for Sporting Kansas City to quote unquote grow the brand in that market. I hate that phrase, but
there's two kind of ways of looking at it. Sorry, I'm sure. Well, do you really want to dive into this now, or do you want to wait till Anthony gets on?
Well, I mean, Anthony.
I just did it.
Call him Anthony. Well, that's because it's on your brain now, and
I know.
he's gonna be so offended he might not even take our phone call. All right, we'll push this to the side. I mean, there's a lot of other things to talk about. The big news out of MLS in the last couple of days is Shalrie Joseph. Did that happen today? I'm so losing track of time. Happened today. This morning. Shalrie Joseph woke up, found out Shalrie Joseph traded to Chivas USA. The news broke through his agent, which led me to not necessarily not believe it. Of course, if his agent is saying it's Rich, I think it's Richard Waxman, it's probably true. It just was an odd way for this to happen. Shalrie Joseph is a legend with the New England Revolution. He's the guy that he was the last holdover, right, Jared? I mean, would you say it that way?
Yeah, he's the last of that really good class that included Dempsey, Ralston, Twellman. I mean, obviously Rice is still there. But he's been injured in and out of the lineup. And also, Shalrie's the last of the field players that really went to numerous MLS Cup finals.
Right.
But I got some issue with how Shalrie himself is kind of talking. He's talking about over Twitter that he wanted to retire as a Rev and wanted to end his career as a Rev. But this is the guy who was trying to get out for years.
Okay. Yes, but he did try to get out at a couple of different points, and it didn't work out, and he ended up staying there. But they gave him the DP contract. Now, why they gave that to him, and what was the reasoning behind it? Because at this point, Shalrie Joseph is not the Shalrie Joseph of 4 or 5 years ago. He's not that player right now. I mean, at least it doesn't look like that in the way that he's been playing for the Revolution this season. And maybe that's why he was on the trading block. And it just seems like the Revs were never really committed to it, that it was kind of, we're going to lose him if we don't sign him to this contract. I don't remember the details of his contract.
At the time, I think that's when he was trying to go to Celtic. He wanted to go to Celtic for a while there. And I think maybe it was just to keep a guy quiet and also to keep a guy that was the last holdover, as we said, something that the fans can cling to from that really good class. I mean, this was a great Revs team. So
this is the signal that they are flushing everything, that they're giving Jay Heaps full control to reboot the whole situation. Now, it's hard for me to get excited about it because this is not a team that is keeping up with MLS and keeping up with the rest of MLS in the off the field stuff or the building the stadiums and all those things. They still smack of 96 of MLS 1.0, but at least they're trying to revamp themselves with the wins and the why am I blanking on the I'm blanking on the young kid out of UCLA. Why am I blanking on
Kellen
him?
Rowe.
Kellen Rowe. They've got talent there. They've
Zaire Sen.
So they're trying something. Jonathan's on the line. What's up, Jonathan?
Hey, how are you guys doing?
We're doing. What's up?
I would like to mention two things. First of all, I just need to get this off my chest to someone who actually listened regarding Breck Shea.
Okay.
Breck Shea, he's been always my favorite player. I even have his own kit, but he needs to grow up. He needs to spend less time in the art studio and more time on the pitch. We need the old Breck Shea who's taking on defenders, causing mismatches all over the field, sending in killer balls.
Right.
Not the one who's not even getting in the 18. Come on, Breck, we need you.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for the call, Jonathan. I appreciate that because obviously Jonathan wrote that down. I'm glad he was prepared for that.
Hey, I appreciate someone does some homework because God knows I don't do enough.
We'll shift briefly to Breck Shea. I think we've covered this situation pretty in depth in terms of just discussing what's going on with him. He's obviously a young player. There was a contradiction. I saw there's a Breck Shea commercial, or he's featured in a commercial that's fairly recent, and in it says something about how he doesn't expectations don't bother him or something to that effect. Like he does not. He's not afraid of expectations. And then we get word that Sheldon Hinman has sat him down and taken him out of the lineup because of
him a favor, basically.
Because of the expectations, and it's like,
I mean, if you believe Hinman, he's doing him a favor or something. Like the expectations for Breck Shea were any different last year than they are this year.
I don't know what's going on. I don't know. I don't think the art studio has anything to do with it. I mean, what Breck Shea does in his downtime is his business. I don't think painting Jackson Pollock.
You can't go. Can they go another game without dressing Breck Shea?
I don't know. Their next two opponents are Portland and Colorado, who haven't won a game between the two of them in the last 10. So there's there's reason to think that that's a get healthy situation for Dallas and for Breck Shea.
Well, that's also the perfect teams to come back and try to get off the schneid against, right?
That's what I'm saying. It's an opportunity to give him a run out against teams that are not very good right now. So you would think that that's a perfect spot to reinsert him. I would love to know the conversations. I'd love to know how Breck is. I mean, obviously we want to be flies on the wall and we just can't. But how he's responding to this. Is he angry? Is he upset?
He's not tweeting. I mean, there's plenty of players out there that you can see, especially on the women's game. We talked about Home Solo on the weekend, that some players are not shy to tweet out there and let them know what's going on. And a younger player would seem to be the type to do it. And this is a guy that was immature enough to throw a fit, a temper tantrum on the sideline. At least he's showing composure. He's being a professional about it. He's not going out there saying anything in the media or really trying to stir things up. I hope this is a sign that he's dealing with it in a mature way and that he and Hinman are actually having adult conversations about this.
We had somebody on the Twitter account say, and this was floated very briefly before it was pretty much shot down by everybody involved. But the question was, Breck Shea for Freddie Adu straight up, does that work? I don't think that works by any stretch for Philadelphia.
Why would Philly do it? Well, if Freddie's having a good season and they're really finding a nice vein of form since Hackworth's taken over. I don't think you change anything.
The only reason it even popped up is because Freddie had a disciplinary issue or an internal team matter, which still has not been clarified for me. I was talking to the beat guys in Philly about it. They didn't know. All they were they were just getting the company line that it was an internal team matter, and we still don't know what it was that Freddie Adu did that got him sat down. So the question of Breck versus Freddie's the better player right now by a wide margin. And he's
giving you something tangible. Breck Shea is giving you nothing right now other than hype.
Well, and then again, you look at Freddie Adu, and it's a cautionary tale. He's finally getting back to a place where you could say he's a decent player. Is he living up to his original hype? No, and that was probably too far to begin with.
I don't think anyone still holds that flame to him. I think that most people right now have a realistic perspective of who Freddie Adu is, what he should be able to give you as a team, and he's hitting those marks right now. And he's still only 22.
Yeah, he's doing. I think Freddie Adu is doing very, very well in Philadelphia, all things considered. My point though is, and obviously Breck Shea didn't start as early as Freddie Adu. He's already the same. He's the same age as Freddie Adu, and he's going through what Freddie was going through the last 4 years. He's going through that now. I don't know that this is something that's going.
And I can't believe I'm ever going to say this about Freddie Adu, but Freddie Adu's a leader on that team. Breck Shea, is he a leader on Dallas in any way?
I always got the sense that he was in a way, but that may have been how I interpreted it. I don't know that that's necessarily true. I mean, you look at that team and the guys they've shipped out and the guys they've brought in. Who's the obvious leader? I mean, I was thinking about this today
Daniel
with
Hernandez.
Okay, yeah, that's probably the guy. But is he really? I don't know. Is there something about Daniel Hernandez that's going to pull?
He's captained that team for a number of years. I mean, you also have David Ferreira that's back now. He can be the guy that leads that team.
Well, that's probably true, but I don't know that David Ferreira is going to have a direct influence on Breck Shea in a leadership capacity. I'm just saying there's too much cultural barriers. There's too much.
I think that with the player of Breck Shea's status, with someone that's in the commercials, the marquee player, it's got to be Hinman or no one.
Well, and then Hinman's doing a terrible job of it, right? We've established.
Is he though? Like we said, we don't know what's going on behind. We're assuming because he's not featuring that Hinman's failing somehow.
Maybe he's not. Okay, you can debate whether or not he's doing a terrible job of man management with Breck Shea, but he's certainly doing a terrible job of coaching that team right now. Look at where they are. Look at where they are in the standings, Jared. I mean, again, he's had a little bit of success, but I don't know.
That's a different debate, but I would agree with you on that. That if you're arguing the merits of Shells Hinman as a coach overall, the team is failing. How his success is going to be with Breck Shea still remains to be seen.
Aren't those two things connected, though? How the team is doing as a whole and the Breck Shea situation, shouldn't those two things be connected? Isn't it?
Without a doubt, they have to be connected because their whole season last year hinged on Breck Shea's performance.
Right. So if Shellis Hinman is doing a poor job of coaching the team overall, then that obviously has an effect on the Breck Shea situation, on how Breck is feeling, how confident he is as a young player. I don't know that this is helping Breck Shea, this situation. I don't know
that it is either, but we know we got taken off topic, but we were talking about Shelby Joseph. I want to say one thing about the Shelby Joseph topic.
You got 5 seconds. To cut you off.
That's fine. It's amazing how how this must have taken this team by surprise. Players are tweeting out all over the place that this is something to hit them all by surprise. So I don't think it was a locker room issue in any way.
No, I think Shalry's situation came down to money and usefulness. It's the best soccer show, North American Soccer Network, NASN.TV. We'll come right back with Chris Wingert from RSL. Don't go anywhere. Jason Davis, Jared Dubois back on the best soccer show, North American Soccer Network, NASN.TV. And on the line with us now, talk a little bit about last night's CONCACAF Champions League opener is Chris Wingert from RSL. How are you, Chris?
Good, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on. Tough loss last night. I know you just got back, just got back home. How do you frame going down to Costa Rica, all of that effort, only to have it unravel so fast?
Well, I don't think it unraveled so fast, to be honest with you. I think, not obviously not the result that we wanted going into the game, but considering the setup, the fact that we went down a man for, almost the whole second half, I think 1-0 result isn't the worst thing in the world.
Okay.
Especially away in CONCACAF, I think that's definitely something that a lot of teams have to deal with, and they can still come back and win their group or move on to the next phase without a doubt. But one of the things that we noticed coming into that game last night, I think for those of us on the periphery, it looked like that was the first 11 lineup that RSL's been waiting to put out all season long. With the first choice lineup like that, though, is it a bit of a double-edged sword because you have to sacrifice maybe team chemistry because these players haven't all been on this team on the field together in so long, but you just also want to get all your best talent on the field. So is it a hard thing chemistry-wise?
No, I don't think so because, all those guys that were out on the field have played a lot together, maybe not recently, but we're all used to each other, and we have a huge amount of confidence in that 11. And so we were pretty excited to go out and play with that 11. Unfortunately, it turned into 10. But, with that being said, I'd love to have that 11 back out on the field, for the next few games in CONCACAF. Hopefully, Olave will get healthy and, we'll get Nat back from the red card. But, we have a ton of confidence in that group. And, unfortunately it didn't go our way, but, we feel like we still have a great shot, especially coming home.
Talk a little bit about Nat's red card. Now, I don't want to put you in a position to say anything about the referee necessarily, but I do want to ask you, do you ever get used to those calls?
We expect to have some tough calls, especially, when we're on the road, and we need to be able to deal with them. That's just part of the game. With that being said, you hope that it's not a game-changing play like last night. But, with that being said, I think that, Nat just has to go away believing that, he did the right thing in that situation. I think, it was a ball that was in between him and the other guy, and he went in for a hard tackle. Studs were down. It was straight in front. It wasn't like it was from behind. There was no scissor. So I don't really see anything malicious or red card worthy about that tackle, but obviously the call is not up to me. So, we move on from it, and I thought we did a pretty good job playing down man.
Obviously you're talking about you lose Borchers. In one way, you could lose Hamilton Alave as well. You get called on to move into the center back position. And do you think people, maybe people don't know this about you, you're a Herman Trophy winning center back from St. John's. Is it easy for you to flip the switch and go back into that mode after playing so much of your career at the outside, at the fullback position?
In general, I'm definitely pretty comfortable playing in the center. I think, it's not ideal for me to play there when, I haven't gotten a lot of practice in, and I haven't played there a lot the last few years. I think if I had a little bit more time, it would certainly help. But with that being said, I'm still comfortable there, and I still feel like I can get the job done. We have some big time center backs on this team, some of the best in the league. So we can have them there. Obviously, that's what we'd like. But when that's not when that's not possible, then I'm more than happy to step in and try to get the job done for us.
Because of the run you guys had, getting to the final and almost winning the whole thing a couple years ago, do you feel like there's more pressure on you guys from maybe the rest of the league, that you're carrying the banner a little bit more than, say, even an LA or a Seattle is?
No, I don't think that at all. I mean, we didn't even qualify for the Champions League last year.
Okay.
And we need to focus on, the first round and the first few games. We can't worry about, getting back to the final at this point. We're 0-1 so far in the tournament. So we got to make sure that we get a couple of results, put ourselves in a position going into the final game or two with a chance to move on to the next round. So we're not worried about the finals at this point. We need to worry about, the next match, which I believe is home against Toro from Panama, I think. And, that's the only concern. Well, to be honest, right now, the concern is Colorado this weekend. But
right.
In terms of the Champions League, we just need to worry about the next match and hopefully get a good result at home, and we'll move on from there.
Chris, to take it away from RSL for a second and let's talk about you as a soccer player from Long Island. What did it mean to you, or what did your thoughts on the fact that at the Cosmos coming back and going to be playing at Hofstra and kind of in your neck of the woods? What does that mean for New York soccer and in particular the people from your area?
It's really exciting. It's something that my family. I've spoken to my dad about it a lot, and just the possibility of MLS having another team in New York is exciting. And I think if that does end up being the Cosmos in the future, I think it'll be a great thing for the league, because there's plenty of people around the country that aren't even huge soccer fans that know the Cosmos name, and so to bring them back in, I think would be great. We'll see if that actually happens, but in the meantime, it's exciting that they're going to have a team now, and I'm interested to see what happens in the next couple of years. But I think it could be great for the sport, especially in the New York area.
You're also talking about the New York area. You have all sorts of connections, and I know that during college you played some time with Brooklyn Knights, kind of on the periphery a bit. Are you aware of the documentary that's currently going on with them, chronicling a bunch of guys trying to make it as pros in the U.S.?
No, I didn't know about that. When is that coming out?
I've just seen trailers for it so far. You need to go check it out. I can't remember what the name of it is off the top of my head right now, but I know there's a number of soccer blogs out there that have the trailer out, and it looks really good so far. Do you remember the name of it, Jason?
No, but Jared, if you're going to drop that on Chris, you got to at least have some information to give the man.
Well, I did it off the cuff. I didn't know I was going to ask him.
Chris, back to MLS for a second. You guys, it seems like maybe it's been not quite as easy as I don't even know how to say this. It's not that we expect RSL to be the best all the time, but there's certainly an expectation of RSL playing a certain kind of soccer and being very good. You're right behind San Jose. The season seems to be going well to this point. Are you guys satisfied with where you are? I know you guys take the Champions League and the MLS Cup basically on the same level of importance. How do you balance that?
That's a good question. I think in some ways, I don't think we're satisfied. I think we feel like we could be playing better soccer than we have. Personally, I think even when we were winning games, consistently early on in the season, I still don't think that we were playing our best soccer, and it caught up to us a little bit, and we had a few losses last month. But we've gotten back on track a little bit with a couple wins recently. And so in that sense, I think it's good that we're still winning games. Obviously, we're still right in the hunt for, Supporter Shield, but there's a long way to go with that. And so, we don't talk about that stuff too much. We're just trying to improve every week, and really every day in training, and try to reach our potential. When we feel like we're playing our best soccer, I think, we're awfully tough to beat, not only in MLS, but also, in the region. But that's not an easy thing to do, is to be, constantly playing at 90, or 100%. And so like every other team in the league, we're striving for that. And we're attempting to reach that goal. But, I think we're never quite as good as everybody, might think we are. We're never quite as bad as everybody might think we are. So when things are going great, and, we made a run a couple of years ago and we're in the Champions League final, everybody thinks we're world beaters, and that probably wasn't the case. And then, after that, we lost Javier Morales, and we lost a couple games, and then everybody thought that, that the season was over for us, and I don't think that was the case either. So we try to kind of keep it on an even keel as best we can, and just look to improve every week.
The title of that documentary that Jared mentioned is "Going Pro American Soccer." So what we'll do is we'll find it for you, Chris. We'll tweet you a link. Wingert17 on Twitter, right?
I appreciate it. Yeah, that'd be awesome. I'd love to check it out. Thanks.
We appreciate the time, Chris. Chris Wingert from Real Salt Lake, coming off the tough CCL loss. We appreciate the time, Chris.
No worries. Thanks, guys.
All right. So, look, this is RSL returning to this competition, Jared, and it's, they, like you said, they didn't qualify for last year's tournament. It's odd because of the carryover situation, right?
Yeah, making the final should qualify you for the next season.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, you could make that argument. I guess winning it should qualify you for the next season. I don't know about making the final. But, RSL, they were playing in the final knowing they weren't qualified for the next edition. So they were putting all of it into the.
It kind of lets you freeze you up almost, doesn't it? They think you can take it. You can put all your eggs in that one basket. But as you can see, I think LA tried to do the same thing to begin the season, and it was too much. I think the expectations were a little too much, and maybe that's also because they came off an MLS Cup championship where then maybe there was that inevitable letdown, and RSL didn't have that coming out of the year prior. So I think that both teams tried to go after it. I think RSL did a better job of understanding the expectations of it and realizing it.
Yeah, it's not. They're not done by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
Loss in Costa Rica it's not great. They wanted to go down there and win, sure, but it is a little tougher nowadays. You got a three team group, Jared. So
listen, you win at home against that team 2-0. You've basically kind of evened it out. I mean, and I think RSL is definitely a team that has a great home field advantage, and will take advantage of it. I think that's one of the ways that they kind of ran that form last time to the finals. That they really took advantage of home field, and they got some points in Mexico. That's a huge thing too. Yeah,
you got to win the group to get out. It's Herediano, Real Salt Lake, and Toro FC, who he's mentioned is their next opponent at home in Salt Lake City. So they have it. They still have it in their hands to take care of. Meanwhile, tonight, as we speak, Toronto is opening their campaign against Aguila of El Salvador, and the last time I checked, they were up 2-0. So
for some reason, Toronto loves that competition. For some reason, they are like princesses of that competition.
Yeah. But that's it's a first time CCL participant from El Salvador, not the strongest opposition, and it's at home.
Stop putting caveats to it. Toronto SC is playing well in this tournament.
No, they are. Congratulations to Toronto FC. I hope they hold on. I mean, I root for them in the Champions League. Almost as much as I root for the American MLS team.
Almost as much.
Well, I mean, come on, they are Canadian, right?
Yeah, you can just flap your heads.
They do say a boot and everything like that.
They could just be talking about their equipment.
Yeah, Seattle starts their campaign against Caledonia from Trinidad and Tobago tomorrow night in Seattle. Full expectation that they will take care of business there. I don't know that anybody thinks Seattle is not an overwhelming favorite, for at least for that game, and probably to win. To win the group with Maritone and Caledonia in it. So it looks like, and then LA for some reason doesn't start for like another 2 weeks, Jared. I don't know what's going on with that, but it looks like MLS can do well in this competition. Again, it's a matter of getting out of the group stage, and then we worry about the knockout rounds when they come around next year, because we have to wait after the group stages for the knockout rounds to come around at the beginning of March. They hit, so right in the smack dab in the middle of preseason /
I'm just really I'm kind of excited to see how LA is going to handle the pressure of the CCL, because this is not where they thought they would be in their season when they're going to have to start the CCL. Right. I'm sure they thought they're going to have much more of a cushion already than what they have right now. How does Bruce Arena mitigate the need of taking the Champions League seriously and get back into playoff contention consistently and maybe even threaten for home field?
The best part of LA's Champions League group is that the Islanders are in it. So, which is just
lost 5-0 last time.
Big old salt in the wound. I mean,
it's going to be a very interesting one. I think I've actually heard from one of the PR guys at the Islanders, and they're frothing at the mouth to take on LA again. So,
of course, they've got that success under their belt. It's fun to knock out the
They don't have Bill Gaudette to waste 20 minutes this time, though.
They don't. Do they have a new – I don't know who their new keeper is. Does he waste time like Bill Gaudette, who may be in line to start in New York, which blows my mind, by the way, just because I thought Ryan Mero was doing a very good job. Anyway, let's take a break. When we come back, we'll talk to Andy Edwards from Kansas City about the U.S. Open Cup situation.
Edwards.
Jared will call him Anthony. We'll piss him off. He'll hang up on us. It'll be great. Don't go anywhere. Best Soccer Show, North American Soccer Network. Back on the Best Soccer Show, North American Soccer Network, NASN.TV. Jason Davis, Jared Dubois. We're on the line with Andy Edwards from Kansas City, host of This Week in Sporting and the Final Whistle on Sports Radio 810 in Kansas City. We're going to talk U.S. Open Cup. How are you, Andy?
Doing well. Thanks for having me on tonight, guys.
No problem. Give us some insight here. U.S. Open Cup finals coming up. Big day for Kansas City. Big day for sporting. Big day for American soccer, maybe. I don't know.
You know what? Obviously, the announcement, you guys talked about it earlier. Gold TV acquiring the rights for the next 3 years for the U.S. Open Cup final. How everything played out, I guess, the way everything has been relayed to me is there was interest from Fox Soccer, there was interest from local television in Kansas City, and things got priced by U.S. Soccer selling the rights for to broadcast the U.S. Open Cup final. They were priced pretty much out of reach of everyone, and it obviously ended up being Gold TV. We're the ones that offered the number that the U.S. Soccer Federation was looking for. And you know what? National broadcast rights, okay, that's one thing.
Right.
But where I think a lot of people have an issue with is the local rights, whereas Sports Radio 810 WHB, the station that I do some stuff for here in Kansas City, had sincere interest in broadcasting the game over their airwaves next Wednesday night, and it was priced out of their range. And when I say priced out of their range, I mean whatever they could make from potential advertisers for a 2-hour block for that event, more than double what they could have potentially made off of it. So obviously in a business sense, it makes no sense for them to do it whatsoever. And so it just feels a little bit like U.S. soccer. You mentioned the opportunity for American soccer. Big night here in Kansas City. People are really, really excited for this game. So July 11th, when Sporting qualified for the final by beating Philadelphia 2-0, the next day they sold 9,000 tickets in 2 hours for the Open Cup final at Livestrong Sporting Park. So there's a tremendous buzz around the city, and now, there's going to be little to no local coverage, and it's a real disappointment because it's a huge opportunity for here in the community to reach a lot of people with a winning team in Kansas City, which I don't know if you guys are familiar with Kansas City sports. We got the Royals and we got the Chiefs, and we don't win anything.
Right.
Andy, to play devil's advocate a little bit here, does U.S. Soccer owe it to the Kansas City market to really make this available at a local level when maybe on their side it looks like maybe they can get a partner, maybe Gold TV making a 3-year commitment. I don't know what behind the scenes Gold TV can promise, but maybe they can show more of the competition throughout the year, and that's why they choose to go with someone like Gold TV, and we get more U.S. Open Cup on TV overall. Is that worth it in terms of the trade-off for the local market for one game?
Well, I think that's a good point as well. I don't see that they would really have anything to stand to lose if they were to, I guess, offer a lower price to a local market. You've got your national deal done. We know that's how it's going to be broadcast nationally on television. Just to allow it to be distributed to the local market, I don't think they owe them anything, but if we're talking about the dealings of U.S. Soccer and Sporting Kansas City and Livestrong Sporting Park, obviously there's going to be a World Cup qualifier coming up here in Kansas City in October. I believe the day is October 16th. It's a Tuesday night, and that's going to be, I would suspect, a very, very profitable evening for the U.S. Soccer Federation. It's going to be an over 20,000 crowd in the stadium that holds 18,500, so there's going to be a ton of tickets sold. I believe it's already sold out. It just would have been nice to, like I said earlier, reach some of those people that maybe they've got friends that are into Sporting Kansas City, that are into soccer, and, oh, hey, I'm kind of interested in that. Oh, they're playing in a game that is a cup final. There's a trophy on the line, something that we can say we are the champions of something, and I understand the business side of it, just disappointing in the end.
Have you talked to anybody in Seattle? What's the situation there? Are they going to get any local radio coverage? Are they going to get some extras here besides the Gold TV broadcast?
I don't know really about Seattle. I would imagine that just going off of their history the last couple of years, I know that they did do radio broadcast of the U.S. Open Cup finals the previous 2 years when they were played in Seattle, because I specifically remember personally listening to those over whatever was offered to us on Fox Soccer, simply because Arlo White calling the games for radio up there in Seattle. I don't know about that. I would imagine that if obviously it's a bigger market and there's probably a lot more demand up there. So you would hope, just for those fans and for the city of Seattle and for the club up there, that they would have been able to reach some sort of agreement.
Andy, talk about the reaction from the fans in general. Is this more a reaction that most of these guys just don't get Gold TV? Is it the fact that the supply isn't there for the demand, or is it that they want their local guys covering this local game?
I think it's down to who you ask. I think if you're talking to the fans, I think it's just a fact of availability. Not everybody has Gold TV. Not every provider even offers Gold TV. So, that's obviously the first huge stepping stone. It's something that a lot of people can do nothing about. And if you're talking in terms of the team, and officials with the team, then yeah, obviously I think they would want to be able to distribute this to their fans in their package with their announcers that have the extensive knowledge of their team and everything. And they were able to put on all of the web streams for the earlier rounds in the U.S. Open Cup. Sporting Kansas City were. And, I think they always do a quality job with doing stuff like that. So, once again, it's always going to come back to disappointment, even though you understand why things happen the way they did.
So, Andy, you're of the opinion that U.S. soccer should be less business-oriented when it comes to this game and in the interest of spreading the word and making it a bigger event?
Well, you know what? When we're talking about the money and everything, the dollar figure that they got from Gold TV is not a number that's going to blow anybody away. It's relatively, it's not a crazy number. It's a little unimpressive, and to just outprice it out of the local markets, I feel like maybe you give up an opportunity for lose $50,000 here this one year, and maybe you get some sort of incredible moment in this game that people look at 5-10 years from now and they say, hey, you remember that 2012 U.S. Open Cup final when whatever happened, mm-hmm. and it really becomes a jumping off point for the competition. I don't think anybody would disagree with the opinion that the U.S. Open Cup doesn't get the publicity. It doesn't get talked about the way that it should for being an almost 100-year-old tournament now. This being the 99th one, it just feels like it's a pretty big deal to everybody that follows the game, that follows the team. It's a big deal to everybody without the checkbooks, I guess.
Andy, I'm getting the feeling from the way you're phrasing this that you might have an idea of what that number was. Is that something you want to share with us? Are you hearing something about what that number that got that deal done is?
The number it's less than $100,000.
So a 3-year deal for less than $100,000. So we're talking less than 33 and change per year.
Let's say $100,000 for this year.
Okay.
That's all the details that I'm privy to is what they paid to get the one for this season.
Yeah, certainly not a large number the way that American sports fans think of these things. I mean, but the U.S.
technically it's a one-off game though.
Yeah, no, sure. One-off game. I mean, you're right. I don't know how to frame that. We'd have to get some kind of sports business expert on the line to tell us if that's good value for Gold TV, if they're selling it high, if they're selling it low, that type of thing. It's a tough situation. The game needs to be on and available via radio and TV for everybody to listen to. And in a perfect world, it would be. U.S. Soccer doesn't seem interested in just letting it be available. We appreciate the time and the information, Andy.
Yeah, no problem, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on. All right, you can follow Andy, and I'm trying to find it right now because I meant to have it in front of me and I don't. What's his handle?
If I remember correctly, it's like Andy Edwards SKC or something like that, I believe.
Andy ED SKC. Andy Ed SKC. Follow Andy. Excellent Sporting Kansas City voice in many different realms over there. All right, Jared, what do you want to talk about now? Should we move on?
Real quick, before we move for everything this, let's say what our listeners had to say about this. We had some feedback, and it was actually a good amount of feedback on this already today. Two of our listeners, one being Corey Bennett. Jason and I know him as Church of Soccer online. He writes, it's a shame ESPN or NBC Sports Network didn't pick this up. Putting it on a big dying network does nothing for the competition itself, but I recognize Gold TV is trying to stay relevant and can't blame them for nabbing it. And then also Nick Poletto said, better than no TV at all. Plus, now that Gold TV has lost a ton of programming to be in sports, it'd be cool if they picked up more U.S. Open Cup programming for next year.
Again, it comes down to availability, and as we've talked about, some carriers don't have Gold TV. I'm almost 100% positive I have it because I have Fox Soccer, and I'm pretty sure it's on my cable network. But
I have it.
I have to go check now, because I haven't looked at Gold TV in so long, because there hasn't been really a reason to for me. It's not.
What's interesting is I sent you a link to something a while back. A lot of people may not know that this isn't the first time Gold TV has had rights to this. In 2004, they got a 3-year commitment back then for 2004, 2005, 2006, and it was considered a bit of a coup that they got it at the time.
Right. They only did 2 of those, by the way. The listing I've got from the Cup.us, who's the authority in all things U.S. Open Cup, was Fox Soccer. I'm sorry, Fox Sports World up till 2003, Gold TV for 2 years, 0405, and then Fox Soccer Channel, which is what Fox Sports World became, took it over, and that's what we've been used to is Fox. And it's not like Fox Soccer has done a wonderful job with this thing. I mean, if you remember before last year, when Fox put a little bit more effort into their MLS broadcasts, Fox Soccer broadcasts were pretty dumpy, right? Pretty crap. We complained about them all the time. The graphics packages were bad. The quality was bad. You know, some people
they upped their game a bit, but here's the thing: NBC Sports Network's taking it to another level.
No, that's what I'm saying, and that's why obviously Corey would love to see this game on NBC Sports Network. There's obviously no incentive for NBC Sports Network to show it right now, despite the fact, and I have to give credit where credit is due. This tweet is from the Smoking Pun, who's another Kansas City soccer guy.
That should be my name.
Just for reference, night of U.S. Open Cup final, FSC is showing replay of Manchester United tour in Asia, and NBC Sports Network is showing Any Given Sunday. Yes,
I think NBC wins in that one.
Wins for having the crapper program that they could bump. Is that what you're saying?
I think I'd rather watch Any Given Sunday than preseason overseas stuff. I don't know.
Well, obviously, the point is that neither one of those programmings are high quality. They're obviously not.
But how many times can they show Any Given Sunday for less than $100,000? Most likely. I mean, that's where these things kind of come down to. I mean, how much does it cost them?
Here's the fact of the matter. And it's a great point. And obviously, if NBC Sports Network wants to be in the business of live sports and they want to compete with ESPN, then they got to get live sports. But the bottom line is that Any Given Sunday on NBC Sports Network is probably going to get a bigger rating than the U.S. Open Cup final. That's just a fact of life. I mean, it's just the way it is right now. We do not have enough interest in this country in that game to merit bumping
so what you're saying is that someone needs to sign Jamie Foxx
to their soccer club. Yes. That's exactly. How did you get to the bottom of it?
Well, we're talking about NBC Sports, and I don't want to go without talking about one thing. And you know, there's something I've been wanting to talk about for a while.
Right.
They finally announced MLS 36, 2 episodes of it in the can, ready to go, and they're going to be broadcast really soon. And here's what I love about this. And just to set up a little real quick, if people don't remember, MLS 36 is going to be like their NHL 36, IndyCar 36, where they follow a player for 36 hours of their life. And here's what I love about what NBC did. They resisted the urge to go after Beckham, the Donovan, the Thierry Henry. They went after the true MLS, like the guy that deserves it in the league. You know, they went with Chris Wondolowski and they went with Freddie Montero. 2 guys that are MLS big, but not sports big.
Absolutely. I think you're exactly right. They could have gone with the Thierry Henry. Thierry Henry is a big soccer name, not necessarily a big sports name. David Beckham is a big name, period. They could have, or Landon Donovan is a big name, period, at least in the U.S. They could have gone with any of those guys. It would have been easy. It would have been attractive just because of the name. But those guys have been documented. Those guys have had their turns in front of the camera. We don't know everything about them, of course, but we know.
How much are you going to learn about them versus what you're going to learn so much about who Chris Wondolowski is as a person, who Freddie Montero is as a person, because you have such a smaller frame of reference. And what's really cool about the Chris Wondolowski one, it was the 36 hours leading up to and the All-Star game where he gets the goal against Chelsea. I mean, that's going to be a cool story.
Yeah, I heard that there were cameras around. I personally didn't notice them. I don't know that I would have recognized what they were if I saw. And I wasn't around Chris Wondolowski pregame or anything like that. But so yeah, no, absolutely looking forward to this. And as we have talked about, you like you said, you've been waiting for this announcement. We knew it was coming. We just didn't know when they would finally get around to it. Right? This was part of the deal. This is why MLS went with NBC Sports Network, despite the fact that, according to reports, Fox offered more money for the league rights. They went with NBC because NBC produces this stuff. And this is the stuff that MLS just doesn't get. We don't get the I mean, it's a half-hour show. It's not like it's an epically long documentary, but it's still an in-depth look at a player who deserves the look, who doesn't get that kind of love outside of MLS. You're right. This is where that money lost in that deal, taking NBC over Fox, is made up. in the
and this is where the onus is upon the MLS fan. Tune into this programming, show them that it's successful and it's worth their time. You know, to show the MLS that they were correct in making the decision to take less money, reward NBC Sports Network for making this leap of faith into our sport. You know, you have to do this.
And hopefully, DVR it, watch it. Hopefully that this, if we can get a bunch of people watching it, I don't know if it's dependent on ratings or not. It may be part of the deal that they've signed, but hopefully this spawns. I don't want just the 36. Although that's a great, it's better than we've gotten, and I shouldn't complain. I shouldn't look a gift horse in the mouth. But I want more of an MLS highlight show, for example. Can we get a half hour? Can we get a half hour? Can a brother get a half hour?
I guarantee you can get a half hour if you show that MLS 36 can make MLS if it can make NBC money.
There you go. And match of the day with Arlo White per Travis.
Tell me you wouldn't watch it. Tell me you wouldn't watch it.
Yeah, I would. Well, yeah, but who's sitting there with it?
Arlo. Here's the way I picture it. I can picture it like Masterpiece Theater, where it opens up to Arlo in a big chair with a sweater vest, and he kind of brings you into the highlight package.
Right, but like I said, who's sitting there with him? Who's the guys? Do we have?
If anything we know about Arlo, he can do a one-man booth.
Yeah, okay, sure. A one-man booth on Match of the Day. You need those ex-players to sit there and be pompous and criticize. That's what they do. That's the whole point. Clint Mack.
In that case, Ooh, tell me you wouldn't like to see Chris Mack. He pops open a Budweiser right at the start of the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we look. We just need those extras, and it's been, how long has it been since MLS had a highlight show? 10, 12 years at this point.
Yeah, ESPN back in the day. I mean, it's been a while,
long time, and it doesn't have to be an ESPN style studio anchor at a desk with an ex player sitting there. It doesn't have to be that. You can run a highlight show that requires no studio at all. MLS did a pretty damn good job, and I haven't checked it recently, but they were doing a pretty good job of putting together highlight packages on YouTube. I can't remember what they were called. They were like Week in Review or whatever. It's just a voiceover guy. Now
that's the thing FSC does with EPL every week on Sundays.
There you go. Well, they do the fake bar setup too, which I'm no fan of.
No. The actual EPL review show is just a commentator doing packages.
Right. That's an international thing. They bought the rights to that. They're showing it on the net. I thought you meant FSC was producing.
It's not the one they produce themselves, but that's a perfect example of the lowest production that can still make a good quality piece.
Yes. Here's all you got to do, NBC. Obviously MLS has the chops to produce it. Like I said, the YouTube stuff was excellent. Just let MLS produce it in-house and then just run it. I don't care where you run it. Run it midnight on Sunday. I'll stay up and watch it. And I'm guessing most MLS fans will too. Or they'll DVR it and watch it on Monday. This is just stick it on. I don't care where it is. I want these steps to be taken. Give us a half hour.
Biggest question is, can they beat this
half hour?
Can they beat a showing of The Sandlot?
Yes. Is that your other? It's Sandlot and Any Given Sunday.
Come on, Sandlot, Field of Dreams. Come on. I mean, I don't like baseball, but I like baseball movies. Why is that?
Yeah. How can you not like baseball movies? They're fantastic. They translate well. Baseball translates well to the big screen. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, I don't know. We'll hit on. There's a little bit of Dempsey news. DeVio's going back to Italy for some trouble. Best Soccer Show, North American Soccer Network, NESN.TV. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Jason Jared back on the Best Soccer Show, closing this one out, live Wednesday edition. NASN.TV is our home on the internet, on the interwebs. We were talking in the break about what we were going to talk about in this segment, and the name Will Packwood came out, who apparently has made the first team at Birmingham, which is big news. He's an American midfielder, 19 years old. Jared, is that right?
19 years old, and very, very good porn name, by the way.
Yes, you only had one insightful comment about Will Packwood. We're still learning. Jared's only comment is, he's got a good porn name. Yeah, he does.
And it's kind of stuff I pay attention to. But cool that kid's getting his first minutes for the Birmingham, big club, Boston native. Or you say Concord, I read Boston. But either way, full-on American. It's not what the type of guy I think that has dual citizenship or anything like that. A guy that for American fans to keep an eye on overseas.
It's Concord. It's not Concord, but whatever.
Whatever. Like the grape, but I don't know.
I'm sure you get on people if they mispronounce towns near you.
What are you doing?
I don't think you can mispronounce Ontario, but yeah. Anyway, all right. So the latest in the Clint Dempsey saga, Jared, and I saw this exclusive report. Clint Dempsey's not going on their preseason trip. Oh my God, he's forcing a move. I don't think that's what this is at all. I don't think this is Clint Dempsey forcing a move. I just think it's, there's probably discussions. Is he going to sign a contract? He wants to think about it. I don't think it's Clint Dempsey going to the club and saying, I'm not going on your trips because I want to leave.
I don't think he's that prima donna to pull that kind of move. It may be something both he and the club have decided to do to try to make things could be that close.
There obviously is speculation surrounding him. So if he's not going on the trip, I mean, that does lend some credence to the fact they're at least entertaining offers. I mean, the Liverpool thing has cooled down a little bit. It may or may not be dependent on what they do with Andy Carroll. Last I heard, Andy Carroll was going on loan to West Ham. Did that fall through? Is that not happening now? I don't know.
That one was the speculation is that's still kind of out there. It's going to be a loan move to West Ham. And from what I've read in a few different UK papers is that the move for Clint Dempsey is contingent on Andy Carroll. They need that money to get Dempsey in.
Maybe it's just Clint saying, look, I'm unsettled. I don't know what my status is. I'm not signing your contract because if not now, he'll go next year. Then there just makes no sense to leave. He can stay home. To go on the trip be a distraction, not only for the team, but it's going to, is he really going to be able to?
But come at me with something better than his fitness isn't good enough after his break and he needs to train with the youth team. That's going to get you a better fitness level than going and training with the first team.
He's going to run around their training complex where they have chickens, by the way. Do you have chickens at Fulham? They have their own chickens so they can get eggs. So
it's funny. Like there's so many other teams that have so much better quality breasts that they're around their club.
That wasn't even a good one, dude. That was pretty fail-tastic.
They can't all be winners.
No, but yeah. Well, the only reason I remember this is because the UK press, with their proclivity for puns, went absolutely nuts when they found out there were chickens at Fulham and they were laying eggs. It was all the egg puns were flying all over the bird puns. It was just disgusting. It was like it was mandated by law that they had to have the headline be like, Fulham run afoul of whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, just leave it alone.
That's quality journalism.
It is.
It's like Piers Morgan wrote every headline for it.
So Clint Dempsey not on the move yet. You know who is on the move is Marco Di Vaio, who's going back to Italy and going to miss Montreal's
not
next
for the best of reasons
against Philadelphia. And here's why: because he's in a little bit of trouble with the latest scandal in Italy. He's coming into, I don't know, is he testifying? Is he being deposed? What's going on?
Well, from what I understand, the captain, I believe it was while he was playing with Barry, I believe. And there's implications of match fixing. And it's not that he's a part of it, but there's an investigation going on saying whether or not he knew something about it and didn't report it.
Didn't say something, could be a ban. Now, the ban technically would only apply to Serie A. But this being soccer in the world and everyone wanting to get along and relationships being important, MLS is more than likely going to honor whatever ban Serie A puts in place. This could be very, very bad news for the Montreal Impact if Marco Di Vaio is suspended in Italy.
From what I read, it would have a punishment somewhere along the line of 3 to 6 months.
Yes, which is bad. Which
is pretty much the rest of the season over here in the States.
Right. I don't know if they could impose it and then he would appeal. I don't know how long that process could take. If they can put it on hold, then maybe they get through the rest of the season. But if it's right away, if he gets found guilty of this charge and they impose that penalty right now, and MLS honors it, obviously, then Montreal's out their best striker. That's bad. That's a serious problem. I mean,
it's one of the guys on Montreal. It's probably the guy on Montreal has been most impressive in anywhere in their offense, and he's only been here for a little while. Imagine once he actually gets the chemistry down.
And he's only scored the one goal, but he's been so dangerous for them.
Dangerous all the time.
Trouble there in Montreal. All right, I think that's going to do it for us. Jared, do we have anything else that we need to definitely tell the people before we go?
I don't think so, other than the fact that you can get us on Facebook at Facebook/Best Soccer Show. Get us on Twitter at Best Soccer Show. And always iTunes. Make sure you leave ratings, reviews. Let us know what you think about the show. And you can get us twice weekly on there.
I heard that we got a 1-star review on iTunes, which upsets me, but I'm not
haters.
Look, I'm
sorry. Here's what people may not know. 1 star, 5 star, still helps us in the rankings.
Yeah, sure. I'm sorry you don't like the fashion talk, and I did promise on Twitter that we were going to talk Voltron tonight. That didn't happen. I apologize for that. If you were anxiously waiting for the Voltron talk, it didn't come to be. We didn't have time.
It goes back to what you and I've said a number of times. We're going to make the show that we want to listen to.
Well,
if a couple people don't like it,
Soccer is not always serious. It's not.
Oh, but it is, isn't it? If we're not talking pro rel at every moment, we're not doing our job.
Did you catch my joke? I want somebody to call their club Promotion and Relegation FC, and then their fans can say, I support promotion and relegation.
Oh, there you go. Easy way to do it.
Easy way to do it. All right. We also have a YouTube channel. Go subscribe to that. That's going to get bigger and better. Trust me, it's coming along. All of that Indiegogo money that you guys have been so kind enough to give us is going into equipment. It's already here. We're working with it now. We're getting excited. We want to do some more stuff. So pay attention on youtube.com/Best Soccer Show. And we have NASNportland.com, which is a new auxiliary page to the NASN.TV site, which is all Portland all the time. It's soccer made in Portland. It's written content. It's all of that stuff. Go check them out as well. All right, Jared, that's it, right? We are definitely done. Thanks a lot, guys.
We're out.
We're out. We'll talk to you on Sunday. Bye.